Welcome to the March 2024 Zoom informational meeting from Take Action San Diego. Our topic this month is making sense of a chaotic news cycle and how that helps us focus our actions going forward. And it has been a chaotic month, but there were a few themes that we can pull out of all of the nutty stuff that's been going on. And some of it's good, some of it's not so good, but let's take a look. So the election, the state election last week in Alabama for a state house seat, where Democrat Marilyn Land unexpectedly won by a huge percentage. And she ran on the platform of abortion rights and preserving in vitro fertilization for people who want to use it. So Dobbs is continuing to win elections wherever they are held, whether it's in red states, blue states, purple states, and certainly Alabama is a red state. The district she won in voted narrowly for Trump in 2022, and she actually ran for the same seat in 2022 and lost by 7 points. This time, she won by 25 points. So this is being noted, this small district race is being noted nationwide because it's yet another example of how Dobbs and the Supreme Court decision on Dobbs is bringing out voters across the country in a nonpartisan way. It's Republicans, it's independents, and it's Democrats voting to preserve women's reproductive rights. Polling methods have just been pointing us in the wrong direction so much in the last several years. And so we just need humongous grains of salt when we look at polling results, and we really can't let them get us too excited one way or the other. Everyone admits the methods are flawed. Everyone admits that it's just very expensive and very difficult to get a good representative sample of voters to answer polls. So we just need to keep that in mind. Another key theme we've seen since the last time we met was that the Biden campaign is energized and actually, I think, being awesome in the last several weeks, really ever since the State of the Union, which hopefully a lot of you watched. If you didn't, I highly recommend it. I left it just feeling so much more positive and happy and proud, actually. And not only was it a great speech, but ever since then, the Biden campaign's been out everywhere in all the battleground states, and even in some of the states that are not considered to be battleground states. They've been raising money like crazy. And I loved this caption. It just had to kill the people in Fox News to do this. But campaign fundraising in February, Biden more than twice as much as Trump. And in the same screenshot, they had to show how the stock market was doing so well at the same time also. So that just made my day to see that. Of course, this fundraising advantage of Biden's, this is before his giant fundraiser at Radio City Music Hall just a few days ago, where he was joined by Obama and Bill Clinton on this stage. On the other hand, Republicans are growing more and more extreme. In North Carolina, the recent primary, the governor nominee for the Republican Party is a guy named Mark Robinson. I will not even repeat any of the crazy, awful things he said about just about every group you can imagine. A fan of Hitler, conspiracy theories, I mean, just bonkers, and of course, endorsed by Trump. And in the same primary, the nominee for schools chief for the Republican Party is even further to the right of this guy Robinson. She's a Moms for Liberty, QAnon person. She thinks public education is socialism. She was there on January 6th. This is the Republican Party in North Carolina right now, and it's one of the reasons North Carolina is now a target swing state for Biden, but also for many down ballot races. And at the same time, Trump is going totally ballistic and is increasingly racist, violent, and deranged in the things he is saying. I'm not going to even talk about these because you've probably seen them all. But between Trump and then the entire MAGA apparatus behind him, they are acting and saying things that maybe their primary voters really like, but that are so distasteful to independents, moderate Republicans, women across the board, no matter what party they're in. They're continuing to alienate the voters they need to win. And even though this is sort of a horrible thing and we don't want it to be happening, it may actually be helping at least some candidates in the races coming up in November. At the same time, all this is going on, a group called the Republican Study Committee, and I want you to look at this picture of them there and see if you notice any similarity among all these people. They're all old white guys, strangely enough, and they just released their 2025 budget. So this is what they want to implement if they have the ability to do so in November. And it's raising, it's basically trashing Social Security and Medicare, weakening the Affordable Care Act and Children's Health Insurance Program, declaring that life begins at conception and trying to get fertilized eggs named as persons, cutting taxes for the wealthy, and more. And I thought this cartoon kind of sums it up. The Republican Party is MAGA party now, and they really can't escape it. They're stuck in the sewer with Trump. Switching gears, what else has gone on in the last month? Well, of course, several key primaries. We have several Republicans also leaving the Congress, which is good for us, but some key races now. Kristen Sinema, independent, and just so happy to see her gone, has said she's not running for Senate anymore. This opens the way for progressive Ruben Gallego to run for her Senate seat in November, and he will be running against Kari Lake, who most of you remember was the election denier for Trump. And then when she lost in her governor's race, she said that was rigged also. He has a very good chance against her. Not easy, but very good. And for that reason, Arizona is a target state for many people, and including our group coming up in November. And of course, it's a key state for the presidential election too. Similarly, North Carolina, Josh Stein is a Democrat who is running against Mark Robinson for governor. Mark Robinson's the crazy dude I showed you earlier. And again, because Robinson is so extreme, Stein has a good possibility of beating him. And North Carolina, which hasn't voted for a Democratic president is ever since Obama in 2008, is now considered a battleground state that Joe Biden has a possibility of winning. So Arizona, North Carolina, two states that have important races for the presidency on the way down. And then, of course, there's California. After our primary here, we know who the candidates are and which ones are most likely to either retain Democratic seats or to flip some currently Republican-held House seats. But even beyond the House, we have an incredibly important Board of Supervisors race in San Diego County in November, and that is Tara Lawson Remer, Democrat, defending her seat against former mayor and Republican Kevin Faulconer. This is going to be a get out the vote thing. We're going to be canvassing, phone banking, texting for Tara Lawson Remer. And hopefully every one of you can join us on that. If she wins, we'll be able to keep the Board of Supervisors with a Democratic majority. And if she loses, we lose that majority. Mike Levin, many of you know, many of you supported him in his last run for Congress. He's been doing an awesome job. He does have a strong challenger from the Republican Party. And he represents, as you know, San Diego County and Orange County. In the primary, 51% of the votes went to Mike Levin or another Democrat, and 49% of the votes went to a variety of different Republicans. So it's going to be a very close race for Mike Levin. He's going to need all the help he can get, and hopefully we will be there for that. There's also a lot of seats, Republican seats, that are very vulnerable in California, and that really could pave the way to us getting back the House in November. I'm just going to focus on two today, but I'll include all this information in my follow-up email. The two I want to focus on is the 45th Congressional District, which is pretty close to us. It's largely in Orange County. It's currently represented by a Republican named Michelle Steele, but she has a very good challenger, a guy named Derek Tran. He's a veteran. He's lived in Orange County most of his life. He's a small business owner. And in the primary, Michelle Steele got 55% of the vote, partly because of name recognition. She's been the congressperson there for the last 2 years. The fact that Tran and other Democrats totaled got 45% of the vote means there's work to do because his name is not that recognized, but that there's room for him to potentially overtake her. This is a district that has voted for Biden in the past. In California 41, there's been a Republican there for a very long time. His name is Ken Calvert. He almost lost his seat in 2022 to this fellow, Will Rollins, who actually thought he had won, and he was in Washington getting trained to be, an incoming congressperson. He found out Ken Calvert actually won, but it was by an incredibly slim margin. Since then, redistricting gives Will Rollins a better chance of beating Ken Calvert. It's more of a purple district now. And again, that's a district we are pretty close to and hope to canvass in a little bit later in the year. So lots of potential, as well as some of these other candidates that I have listed here. I think this is my final takeaway from the last month, and that is that if we were waiting for the media to get a backbone or for the courts to bring justice to this whole MAGA era, we're going to be very disappointed. And I think most of us know by now they are not going to save us. The Supreme Court and even lower courts have really helped Donald Trump delay most of his trials, have given him wins when they didn't need to get him wins. And we can't rely on court cases to keep Donald Trump from winning in November. Similarly, the media has a difficult situation, and it was incredibly well illustrated by this Ronna McDaniel fiasco. You know, she was the former head of the RNC. She helped with some of the election denial schemes, stepped down from the RNC because she wasn't sufficiently MAGA enough for Donald Trump, and was promptly hired by NBC as a commentator. The uproar from people who wrote in, called in, apparently they received hundreds and hundreds of thousands of calls and emails and letters from people like us, as well as from their on-air personalities, led to her firing. But the issue is that all of these media outlets are looking for a Donald Trump supporter who's not a liar or a crook or a con man, because they need commentators, they feel, to represent his side of the story. And of course, all they can find are people who are insurrectionists and liars. I mean, that's the nature of the candidate that he is. So they're not going to be able to find somebody that meets that requirement, and they're going to have to figure out how they want to do this. I'm not holding my breath for anything great. So we can't rely on the media to rescue us either. But I do want to say the Ronna McDaniel story also shows what the resistance, us, can do when we get organized, because I don't think NBC was expecting the onslaught of criticism they got when this happened. And we were part of the reason that she's not on air right now. So yeah, the media is not going to save us. The courts aren't going to save us. We knew that. We knew we're the ones who are going to save us, right? We're the resistance, and whether we're in a march or writing postcards or canvassing or getting together just to support each other in what's a very difficult year, and it's going to be a difficult year, we are the ones who are going to do it. And that's why you guys are here today. And that's why I am so glad you are here, and really just so honored that we can all be here together to move on and get this done. So I think that's the end of that presentation. I don't know if people have any questions or comments for about the next 5 minutes or so, and see if I can answer them.
Hey, Wendy.
Yeah.
Mark here.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Wendy. Listen, I'm going to give you a little different take on the legal side to the woes of Donald Trump. And I've been discussing this, and I listened to some of the experts in the field discuss it. It may not be all that bad that we don't have resolution in terms of the legal and judicial issues for the following reason. Under normal circumstances, 2 of 3 of the outcomes would not be beneficial to us. In other words, 1, acquittal; 2, hung juries. Hung juries would even give Donald Trump an excuse to hold up the headlines and say, look, see, they couldn't convict me. So I think as long as the cloud continues to hang, it may not be all to our disadvantage. Thanks.
Yeah, I like it. And Mark, since we have you on the line, you know, I considered making a special slide just for your one bad joke of the session. Do you have anything to contribute?
The joke is MAGA. They are the joke this month, but I promise I'll get on it next month for sure.
All right, I didn't give you any warning. And I see Scott posted that Gina Jacobs is running against Joel Anderson for the Board of Supervisors in District 2. So it would be so amazing to get rid of Joel Anderson. Does she have a chance, Scott?
I have to find the mute button. It was, she sure has a chance, but the point of it is, I think Joel Anderson should never run unopposed.
Yes.
Now, whether that district will turn for Gina or not is another matter, but I just wanted to point that out and let everybody know that she's a worthy candidate, and check out her website. And if you see her around anywhere, go meet her.
Thanks a lot for that. Oh, it's just so many brave and committed people out there. And yes, we focus on candidates that have a very good chance of winning for most of our activities. But there are those long shot candidates who sometimes, they're long shots the first time, and then they're not long shots the second time. And as you say, Scott, a guy like Anderson or any of these MAGA people should have somebody countering their lies and their awful policies. So thanks for bringing that up. Okay, well, let's, Mona.
Hi, yeah, I have a question. I'm new to San Diego. I've always had relatives living here, though. When SDGE makes $1 million a day, is that to shareholders? Or is that just to their coffers and then they give more money to the CEO or officers?
There's probably someone in the audience who knows the details of this better than me, but that million, I'm almost sure, is their profits, and which they then distribute a variety of ways.
Yeah, I'll just have to check if it's publicly, if it sells shares. Like I know my grandma 100 years ago, had shares in the electric company or the gas company back in Wisconsin. So is that what?
Yeah, no, they have stock. Too? They have stockholders. Yeah. Yeah. We actually had our last joint meeting we did was a presentation by Power San Diego, who's gathering signatures right now to get an alternative people-powered utility on the ballot in November. And I believe that was recorded. So if it is, I'll put that in my follow-up email, so that some of the details on exactly that money and where it's going, you'll be able to get a better handle on.
Wendy, this is Vivian. My understanding too is that hi. My understanding too is that it's actually more than $1 million a day. It's now almost $1 billion per year in profits. And so profits could go to shareholders, profits could go to other things, but it's not going to us, the community, and being reinvested. Most of it is going to shareholders and lining the pockets of politicians who will vote to ensure that SDG&E stays. I have a petition if anybody wants to sign it. I'm happy to come to you.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, if you have not signed this petition yet, we have till mid-May to get 80,000 signatures, I believe. And I know Viv has been out at Costco's and other places gathering signatures. But if you would like to sign the petition, just send her a message in the chat, or if that gets bollocksed up, let me know and I will get you in touch with Viv or there's several people all around the city, so that you don't have to travel too far to sign a petition.
Yeah, put a link to the San Diego, Power San Diego website in the chat.
Thanks, Larry. And thanks. Is there anything else to add, Viv, about any new updates on this?
We really need all the signatures we can get. It's gonna be really, really close getting it on the ballot. I think once it's on the ballot, we're gonna hear all kinds of negative stuff coming from SDG&E, which is using the profits we've given to them through our rate paying to oppose the Power San Diego initiative. But I think once it does get on the ballot, I think people will really have an opportunity to say, this is enough. We pay the highest rates in the country. They want to raise our rates, not want to, they're going to raise our rates, even though we are paying the highest rates in the country. And most of it goes to their shareholders in pure profit, you know, it just isn't right. Anyway, so a lot of examples throughout the country of public power being successful, having very high customer satisfaction from their customers, and we're not the first to do it. So I'm excited if we do get it on the ballot, we do have a chance.
Yeah, there's something like 25% of San Diego ratepayers owe on their electric bill. So there's something
Yep,
seriously wrong.
absolutely.
Right, yeah, and some of the data here on this slide shows some of the public utilities in California, and the rates that people pay for those. And of course, they're all incredibly lower than what we're paying. And Victoria.
Okay, might have got it.
You got it.
There's a way to volunteer, like I'm gonna do data entry or something on a couple of Sundays, and they still need people to go out and stand there at different venues and collect petitions if you can do that. And, you know, they have a volunteer sign up thing on their website too. We need you.
One of the things that's so good about this issue is it really isn't partisan. Everybody hates SDG&E. So as Viv said, once it's on the ballot, I think it has a very good chance. But the signature gathering is just arduous, and so many are needed. So this is the hard part, I think. Okay, thanks everyone for that info. I will also, in the follow-up email, give you links to every one of these activities that we're talking about. But our friends over at Change Begin With Me have a list that's regularly updated of text banking opportunities, and it's text banking to register voters, it's text banking to get out the vote, it's text banking all over the country. And so for people who that's their kind of thing that they want to do, even though it's an annoying thing for us when we get them, the good text banks target people who don't usually get targeted by texts, and they can be very effective in those instances. A few more events. We have a joint meeting with Change Begins With Me Indivisible on April 7th. The title of the meeting is Healing Divides, the Art of Respectful Conversations in a Polarized World. Just in case any of you have ever had a discussion with a friend or a relative or an acquaintance where it was difficult to make inroads when you had two different points of view. The speaker is an experienced person in dealing with this kind of conflict resolution. I'm really looking forward to the meeting. And a nice thing about this one is it's going to be a hybrid meeting. So there's an in-person option as well as a Zoom option. So I encourage you to sign up for that, as well as for our next Zoom meeting, which have a guest speaker on the concept of housing first. This was a topic that when we all got together in person in December, a lot of people voted for this issue as something that we would take up this year. And I'm just in the process of confirming which of two organizations will be talking to us, but we will get one of them, and that'll be our main topic next time. But at every meeting, we have our guest speaker, And then we follow up with some action, usually writing letters to voters. So we'll be doing both. And a few
What-
more upcoming
Wendy,
meetings.
Can I ask, isn't Jeremy Raskin going to be at that April 7th meeting?
I'm not sure, Larry, about that. Oh, are they advertising it now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
never mind.
Message just went out seconds ago about that. It's up.
Okay. So guess what, everybody? Jeremy Raskin is going to be calling in on Zoom for the April 7th meeting. I just wasn't sure it had been 100% confirmed, so I didn't want to say anything about it. But amazingly, Tama Becker-Verano, who leads the Change Begins With Me group, had an interaction with Raskin when he spoke here in San Diego recently. They connected, and she asked if he would consider coming to the meeting, and he said yes. So that will be a very exciting part, and I think incredibly heartwarming part. He's a hero to a lot of us. So that's great news that it's totally confirmed. We also, for our June meeting, we have a UC Davis professor of law and kind of a renowned immigration expert, Dr. Jack Chin, talking about building an immigration system that works for everyone. And this, again, is another topic a lot of us need some guidance on. Just what does a good immigration system look like? We know this one is broken, and he has some of the answers, we hope. So looking forward to that one. We'll be hearing from some of our local candidates at our July meeting. And then on August 24th, for our August meeting, in preparation for September and October, we are really lucky to have the team from 31st Street Swing Left. They're a group in Philadelphia. All they do is canvas. It's all they've done since 2017. It's their main focus. They've canvassed all over the country, not just in the Philadelphia area. They've developed training videos and training books, and they're a wonderful source of expertise and information and energy for all of us who are much more hesitant about canvassing. So they'll be doing a Zoom training session with us in August. And even if you never canvass in your life, I think you'll enjoy hearing from them. So please put that in your calendars also. And finally, just a few quick recommendations on things to read or watch. And I'm sticking with things that are mostly hopeful and energizing. There's plenty of sad and discouraging news to read, but there's a very good book out by Eric Kleinenberg called 2020, One City, 7 People, and the Year Everything Changed. And he's taking an overview of what happened during COVID, focusing on the stories of 7 people in New York City, but also interspersing the chapters of what happened to those people as individuals with broader chapters about what was going on in the country and the world. And if you're looking for any perspective on this time that we went through, which I think none of us have fully digested or understood, this is a very good start. He's a very good writer. Encourage that. If you have not seen The Greatest Night in Pop, it's a Netflix documentary about the making of the We Are the World video. It's, again, just a joy to watch, really pleasant. And finally, most of you probably already are subscribers to Simon Rosenberg's Hopium Chronicles. We were lucky to have him as a guest speaker last year, and I think we've all benefited from the information and expertise that he brings and the hope he brings to our activism. His Substack subscription is free. although he hopes that people will give $45 to keep him going, and he's got tens of thousands of subscribers now. So just 3 recommendations. And then check out our website for more information on upcoming actions and events. We update this as regularly as possible. So yes, please check out our website at takeactionsandiego.org for more actions and events. That concludes the information part of our meeting. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you can join us April 7th for our joint meeting with Change Begins With Me, and then our regular monthly Zoom meeting on April 20th. Hope to see you there. Bye-bye.